Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rabbi Eliezer Melamed, Shlita. Hoping everyone here in the Northeast, in the diaspora, we had an enjoyable holiday weekend. I myself had the privilege to be part of a beautiful chasana, so I want to just give a special mazel tov to our chasana and kala, to Noah and Remy. Beautiful, beautiful simcha. And we continue our learning, another week of learning, but please continue to daven for Charlei Tzvaganei Yisrael, or for Shloim L'chol Ptzuei Yisrael, and a safe return of our hostages. And we dedicate our learning each day, Le'ilui Nishmas, Saren Daniel Shimon ben Harav Duron V'Shelei Shem Kum Damo. The next topic we have is Midas Achiv Shal Tefillah Minyan. Mitzvah Midivrei Chachamim Lispal Minyan. So according to Chazal, there's a mitzvah, a rabbinic mitzvah, one should pray with a minyan. And a person is required to trouble himself to go to a minyan, even if it's far from his home, and the distance is, it says, a mil. So he writes in the parentheses, kara of the kilometer. So let's say about a kilometer. So here, we don't use the metric system, so you can figure out what that means. Which is about 18 minutes. Everything in Judaism is 18 minutes. If he is on his way, or he's on the road, and in the course of his traveling, it's 72 minutes away, which is 4 mil, and in the course of that time period, he's going to go to a place where there is a minyan. So even though he wants to stop for rest, but he should really continue going, and he should try and reach the minyan. But if, let's say, the minyan is not on his way, then you only have to deviate from your path 18 minutes, the distance of 1 mil or that kilometer, in order to attend a minyan. But one who regularly travels in a car, so some say you have to take the distance of 18 minutes of traveling in the car. And let's say someone who's on a trip, and you know that within 72 minutes in your travel, you're going to find a place where there's a minyan. You should try and travel until you reach the minyan. And some say even people who regularly drive in a car, that you're not required to go more than the distance of that mil or the kilometer. But it's better to be strict. But one who wants to be lenient certainly has upon whom to rely. So, of course, these are topics which are applicable when we're out of our regular routine, let's say. Part of our routine generally, certainly for the Jewish male, is davening with a minyan, and we try to build our day around that, or certainly we build the places that we live around that. But let's continue. So let's say the old work question. The person has to go to work, and if you can't miss work and you can't skip work because you have to take care of your business and you want to lose money. So if that's the instance, so meaning that if going to minyan would preclude him from going to work or being work on time, then he's allowed to daven alone so he doesn't incur a loss. But people who are peddlers, people who are doing regular sort of work where they can stop, should stop so they can daven with a minyan, meaning that during the period of traveling and davening with the minyan, they won't be able to make any sales. Only if they're going to incur a tremendous loss, a loss that certainly would be quite damaging, so then they could daven alone. So similarly, if somebody has something that's pressing, you have a regular set appointment, or let's say you have a doctor's appointment, something like that, and obviously if davening with a minyan will preclude your attending, then certainly one is allowed to daven alone. And the note here, again, it's one of the classic long notes here in the Peninei Halacha, we discuss very, very particular time frames in terms of traveling, cars, etc. But the bottom line is we make every effort to try and daven with a minyan, and it's only in cases of pressing needs. So nowadays, when we live such busy lives, so a lot of people, let's say if you live here where we live and people commute to the city, and commuting can take an hour and a half, then we kind of build our commutes around the Minyan. Sometimes if it's the Minyan before we go to the city, or some people will go early to the city so that they could have a Minyan in the city, something like that, but we try our very best to make Tefillah with a Minyan possible, as it's considered, as we've been mentioning, a greater form of tefillah than davening alone, and davening alone is only bidi evet. So with that, we will conclude today's session. Thank you so much for joining us, and please continue davening for Chalei Tzvagan Israel, for Shalom L'chol Petzuei Israel, safe return of our hostages. Eli Nishmat, Saren Daniel Shimon of Darom V'Sheli Shemkim Damo. Again, thank you so much for joining us. See you here next time. Have a most wonderful day, and stay warm.